Contingency offers are making a comeback. Stay tuned and find out.
Hello, all. Welcome to our Monday market update. You got Randolph and Michele with the Hatch Homes group. Please remember to like and subscribe. So today we're talking about contingent offers and they're making a comeback. What is a contingent offer? Let's start there. So a contingent offer is essentially when there is a condition of the sale that must be fulfilled before it can be finalized or closed. So there's a lot of different contingencies. Like as a buyer, you have a lot of contingencies, but if there's something extra special about the house that you want to review and finalize, then that could be contingency. But the biggest one we see are obviously buyers who are also sellers. They already own a home that they have to sell in order to buy the next house. And so that makes a contingency because you can't buy it unless you have that money. So
right.
There's some examples of this. And Randolph, tell us, you have a really good story about this and why you see it as a trend.
It is quite the trend. And so basically we have this buyer that's looking to purchase up in Vancouver, but it's contingent on the sale of their Portland home. So the one property that they were interested in, I reached out to the listing agent, and that listing agent said, well, no, we have other buyers that really want to buy a house. We're not accepting a contingent offer. So I'm like, all right, no problem. And it was funny because she was continuing with the text. You should write it as non-contingent. I'm like, no worries, that's okay. We'll just move on. And so I went over to I reached out to the next listing agent. I said, hey, would you entertain a contingent offer? And they said, we will entertain any contingent offer. And so I was like, pretty surprised and happy. So we wrote up the offer. And the funny thing is that we lost. We lost. Well, it's not really funny. It's a contingent offer, but we lost to another contingent offer that was roughly $15,000 over. So it's kind of a weird space that we're in.
Well, I think it's important to note that the first agent you asked if they would accept a contingent offer, she may have really missed the boat there and that's not really advocating for her sellers, in my opinion, because any offer that is presented to a seller, they have to review. They don't have to accept it, but like it can be presented. And for her to dissuade you to even write an offer, like that's kind of, that's unfortunate. But I think it's definitely interesting that you went to the next one and there were multiple offers that were all contingent. And so that's like this huge trend. And so why do you think we're seeing this as a trend right now?
Well, because the market is allowing it. The
Right.
crazy market of the pandemic was virtually impossible to get your offer accepted last year. Correct?
Even if it wasn't contingent, it was like crazy times. People remember that. We don't need to go back there.
Yeah, it sure was. So in the past, Mark, we were trying to do everything we could do to not write a contingent offer, but now we have pent up people wanting to do it, and they can.
Yeah. I think it's another important to note that it's a trend because if sellers are going to lose out on their 3% interest rate and over double that to a 7% interest rate, they want to love the house that they're buying. I mean, everybody wants to love the house they're buying, but of course, during the crazy market, there were a lot more sacrifices that buyers had to make. And don't get us wrong, there's still low inventory and there's still competition. However, like there is a lot more power that the buyers have these days, even with these contingencies, because it's just a lot more expensive. But there are things to keep in mind when you're writing a contingent offer. And one of them is like, well, not just one, but there's multiple things that go into an offer, right? There's other terms besides the contingency and beside the price. So the stronger your offer is, the better, because, the sellers that you're making the offer to are also taking a risk. And there's also things that it is important to note for buyers who are making contingent offers. If you have that contingency, there are risks involved. The biggest one, and I'll just mention that now, and when you make an appointment with us, obviously we can sit down and talk about all the options, but the biggest risk you take is that you could be bumped out, meaning bumpable. And that's the status that the listing goes in instead of pending. It's just going to be bumpable. So if you're that contingent buyer, you want to remove that contingency as quickly as possible, because another buyer could come in without any contingencies in their offer and bump you out, and then you miss out. And it's so sad when that happens. I just had that happen because some of my great client friends, they have a house to sell first. And they were basically putting the house on the market to buy that other house. But because that was a contingency, it was bumpable, and they got bumped. And then their house was on the market and had offers on it. So like they had to do it. So that's another point that we want to make here, is that is important, but also there's the timing, right? There's so many moving parts.
I hope you don't mind. I want to add to that bumpable status. Like, we do have a strategy to remove you from bumpable status, but we would love to kind of sit down with you and talk about it. And yes, timing is very crucial. And I also want to kind of emphasize that we are licensed in Washington as well. So I want to emphasize that Washington real estate firms are different, and they favor the sellers in Washington, and Oregon real estate firms favor the buyers. So it's important to sit down with us. Let us walk you through all the moving parts that entails and so forth.
Yeah. And with these contingent, just backing up a touch on the timing is crucial. Like, we have to drive that home, and why you want a professional realtor like ourselves to help you through that process. Because not only are you, if you're a buyer that's selling in order to buy, you have the timelines on your purchase, and then you have the timelines on the people that are purchasing your house, and then those sellers that you're buying. Like, there's just like this trickle down effect with a lot of parties involved. And that's why you need a professional facilitator like ourselves, because timing is really crucial, and it can be really stressful. And that's what we're here for, though, right? As your trusted realtor, we explain all of the risks and options available to you, but ultimately you make the decisions of what you're comfortable with, and all we can do is present the options.
We have a great team of 5 great realtors, and we collaborate on all the ideas and how to make your offer strong.
Totally. We have a great team that will walk you through all of it. And if there's a scenario, because it does happen, like, there's a scenario that we never come across before. And because we have this pool of knowledge, we can dive into that and talk about solutions for that problem or whatever comes about. So remember that, you can ask any questions that you want from us. And remember, the bottom line is that it can be done. Contingent offers are happening, and it can be done. And sellers out there should not be afraid to accept one, and buyers should not be afraid to make one, because we got to, buying a home is really important, and we can help you make it happen.
We sure can.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe. And if there's anything you want to hear, let us know. Thank you so much. Have a good week.
See you guys later.